The sleek glass lobby of Montgomery Financial shimmered beneath the soft glow of recessed lighting as sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows. At the reception desk stood Maya Chen, 23, dressed neatly in her intern uniform, a light blue shirt and burgundy skirt. Her nerves humming with the quiet intensity of someone eager to prove herself. It was only her second week, and while her professors had told her that confidence and assertiveness were the keys to success, Maya preferred listening over talking, observation over interruption. What no one in the firm knew was that Maya was fluent in American Sign Language, a skill she'd learned while growing up with a deaf younger brother. Where others saw her calmness as passivity, she knew it was simply another form of attentiveness. The afternoon moved in its predictable rhythm until the glass doors slid open and a distinguished man in his 50s entered, accompanied by a younger woman who immediately began signing. Maya's eyes caught the motions, the language of her childhood, and she noticed the slight unease of someone entering a space where communication could easily fail. The woman spoke aloud as she signed, introducing the man as Robert Martinez, a philanthropist meeting the investment committee. Maya's pulse quickened. She recognized the name. This was the Robert Martinez, whose education initiatives were nationally known. The woman explained that he was deaf and preferred ASL communication when possible. Without hesitation, Maya smiled and began signing directly. "Welcome to Montgomery Financial, Mr. Martinez. I'm Maya Chen. I'll help you check in and escort you to your meeting." Mr. Martinez's face broke into a surprised, delighted grin as he signed back. "You know ASL? That's wonderful. I wasn't expecting to communicate directly here." Maya nodded, still signing smoothly while speaking aloud for the translator's clarity. "My younger brother is deaf, so I grew up signing. Let's get you checked in and head upstairs." What she didn't notice was James Montgomery, the company's 40-year-old CEO, standing behind a marble column, watching. He'd come down personally to greet the philanthropist but paused when he saw Maya bridging the conversation so naturally. He watched as her hands moved with practiced fluency and ease, her demeanor professional yet warm, the kind of effortless empathy that turned formality into connection. She made Mr. Martinez laugh, and for a moment the lobby, usually a place of polished distance, felt human. James followed quietly as Maya escorted them toward the elevators, continuing her conversation in sign language about accessibility in education. When she signed, "My brother always says the biggest barriers aren't about hearing but about whether people are willing to communicate in ways that work for everyone." Mr. Martinez nodded with feeling. "Exactly," he signed. "That's why I choose my partners carefully. True inclusion is more than compliance. It's communication with heart." As the elevator doors opened to the conference floor, Maya smiled and motioned for them to exit, unaware that her small act of empathy had just changed how the CEO viewed both her and what leadership really meant. The sleek glass lobby of Montgomery Financial shimmered beneath the afternoon sun pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows as 23-year-old intern Maya Chan stood behind the reception desk, her light blue shirt crisp against her burgundy skirt, her heart beating with the anxious rhythm of second-week nerves. While others saw her quiet nature as timidity, Maya knew her silence was born from deep understanding. Years of communicating through sign language with her deaf younger brother had taught her that true connection often spoke louder without words. The day seemed ordinary until the doors opened and in walked Robert Martinez, a well-dressed philanthropist in his 50s, accompanied by a translator signing beside him. Maya instantly recognized the fluent movements of ASL and the cautious hope in his eyes, and before fear could stop her, her own hands lifted in graceful motion. "Welcome to Montgomery Financial, Mr. Martinez." His surprise melted into a bright smile as the two exchanged signs fluidly, bridging a gap that so often left people like him on the margins. Unbeknownst to her, from behind a marble column, CEO James Montgomery watched, silently awed by how this shy intern made one of their most high-profile visitors feel entirely seen. When James later greeted Mr. Martinez upstairs, the philanthropist's translator told him what he'd already realized. Maya's effortless communication had turned a corporate transaction into genuine human connection. After the meeting, James called Maya into his office, and she braced for reprimand, only to find admiration instead. He listened as she humbly explained how she'd learned ASL as a child, thinking it irrelevant to business, and James shook his head with quiet conviction. "What you did today," he told her, "was the most relevant thing anyone here has done in years." He revealed that Montgomery Financial had struggled for 2 years to earn Mr. Martinez's trust, yet in 5 minutes, Maya's empathy had accomplished what countless presentations could not. Inspired, James announced a new accessibility and inclusion initiative, and asked her to help lead it. Overwhelmed, Maya could barely whisper her thanks as realization dawned. The very quality she'd thought made her invisible had made her extraordinary. In that moment, the timid intern in the lobby became the heart of a company's transformation, proving that leadership doesn't begin with a title. It begins with listening. Maya sat frozen, hardly believing what she just heard as James Montgomery looked across his desk and said, "Maya, I'd like to create a new position in our corporate social responsibility division, one focused on genuine accessibility and inclusion, and I want you to lead it." She stammered, her voice trembling. "Mr. Montgomery, I'm an intern. I haven't even finished my degree." But he only smiled. "You have something none of our executives do. We can teach business strategy, but we can't teach empathy." In the months that followed, Maya's world transformed. The once quiet intern became the company's accessibility coordinator, designing programs that made Montgomery Financial truly inclusive. She introduced ASL interpreters for all major meetings, helped develop accessible digital tools, and trained staff to communicate with clients across every barrier. Mr. Martinez, now a close mentor, worked alongside her to fund scholarships for students with disabilities. Hundreds of lives changed by the partnership her courage had made possible. A year later, Maya stood at the head of the executive conference room, her voice steady as she addressed the same leaders who once overlooked her. "Inclusion," she said, "isn't about checking boxes or meeting requirements. It's about believing that everyone has value and creating spaces where that value can shine." Her eyes met James's in the front row, both remembering that moment in the lobby when everything began. "Thank you," she added softly, "for seeing potential in someone who didn't yet see it herself." The room erupted in quiet applause, not just for her presentation, but for what she represented. The truth that sometimes the quietest voices carry the most profound change. James watched with pride, realizing that leadership wasn't about hierarchy or power, but about recognizing human connection and vision where others saw none. And as Maya smiled, she knew she hadn't just found her career. She had found her purpose, proving that the skills we learn from life, empathy, patience, and the courage to listen, can be the very strengths that change entire organizations.